and welcome to Backlinking, the PKM podcast. Lately, I've been playing around with AI agents and this whole new system of PKM is dead. Now it's all about personal context management, PCM. I think that's right. Personal context management. Yeah, PCM is right. My brain is a little slower today. I actually was able to achieve one of my 2026 goals. I ran my first half marathon. It took me a lot longer than I hoped, but I still was able to finish. Not only is my brain a little slower today, but this might be a shorter podcast because I want to go back to sleep. Jokes aside, though, I am a little tired. I don't know how long this will be. If you are new to this podcast and new to this channel, you might not know it, but I always write a script or bullet points, and I never follow my script. So I'm actually not sure how this will end up. But what I wanted to talk about is this. There is actually two things. So it is this idea of personal knowledge management being dead, which I will do a whole separate podcast episode on later. But I wanted to mention it. And the second thing I wanted to talk about, which I will spend more time on, is the whole philosophy that Obsidian is built on. And it is the idea of file over app. So for the last couple of days or 2 weeks now, I've been playing around with a new note-taking app, which isn't actually a new note-taking app. It is an app that I've turned into a note-taking app. So I have played around with two applications, actually. I've played around with VS Code, which I've enjoyed a lot, using that as my note-taking app. And I've also played around with Google's anti-gravity IDE, and I have played around with Obsidian a little bit. I am planning to test out Logsec as well, and a couple of other applications. And I am also planning to, or I have used IA Writer a lot to write some of my blog posts. So a couple of thoughts here. I am a big fan of this idea of file over app. It hasn't been that important to me, but it has been something that I have found it's becoming increasingly important. And the main reason is because I was about to set up some of my AI agents, but since I almost changed note-taking apps weekly at some point, there was a lot of stuff that I wasn't able to find, that I had to rewrite, like the brand manual for these YouTube videos. It is just lost somewhere in one of the 50 note-taking apps I've been testing out. And I thought to myself, how great would it be if I could just bring all of my notes to all of the note-taking apps? Like, my dream would be if I could have a markdown folder, which I could just put into different apps. I know that it won't work. It doesn't work that way. But that was something I started thinking about. And at the same time, I started playing around with AI agents and personal context management and the death of PKM. And I don't think PKM is dead yet, at least. But I can't say or have an opinion about something that I haven't actually tested out and used myself. And I haven't been the biggest fan of these AI agents. I still have mixed feelings about the AI agents, but I have a really good feeling on using VS Code or Anti-Gravity or any other code editor as my note-taking app, and also using something like IA Writer when I want to do a focused writing session. That has been something that has grown on me. So what I've actually done is that I've downloaded an extension in VS Code called Foam, I think. And I just turned that into my note-taking app, and using a drive, I'm using Jota Cloud, which is a Norwegian provider, but I've turned that into my note-taking app. So you can see that this, for those of you watching, this is how it looks. It is basically just a markdown table where I have all of my ideas. Most of the ideas I create actually doesn't end up being posts, but I used Foam, which allowed me to like link different things together. You can see that I've used backlinks, so double square brackets, and I've linked different things together, and like you can see how everything is like interconnected, and I even have a graph view here, so I can find my graph view and like see how again everything is interconnected together. So the whole point here is that my whole productivity system is connected and AI connects it for me. So if you're not watching, that's like the whole idea. It's just an IDE where I have backlinks. That's basically it. And I can open this up in Obsidian. I can open it up in IA Writer if I ever want to like do writing. Like basically the point here is that I don't need an app to get my notes. They are available. Like there are so many applications that allow me to read markdown notes, and I can even open them in my text editor on my computer. And I've also just liked the experience of linking things together, the experience of just writing in Markdown and knowing that it works. And this system has started working for me. Like one of the main reasons why I could not go into a system like this is because I used my apps for note taking. I wouldn't say that this is like a knowledge management note taking system. It is more a project management note taking system. So things like social media ideas, context around my social media, context around all of the work stuff I'm doing, and never like what you in Para would call the resources folder or tag. That isn't something I'm using. I actually turned my like note-taking system into an analog Zettelkasten system, which I am really happy with. So I mainly use digital tools for storage of tasks, storage of like project notes, things that I don't necessarily need to think about, but I need to reference a lot. It can be something like the links for my YouTube videos, or scripts for like blog posts, Substack posts, Medium posts, things like that, things that I can't necessarily do analog. While my actual note-taking system, where I connect different ideas and I highlight things I've read and I like move them into a note-taking system, that happens in an analog card box, basically, with index cards. The company that creates those index cards went bankrupt, so I am a little scared of what I will have to do when I no longer have those index cards. I will probably have to make my own, but that is probably something for another video. Back to my point here. So this system started making sense because I was able to like use an application like Obsidian and VS Code and not have to use the mobile app, because the mobile application of Obsidian isn't the most pleasant, and also because the whole idea of me using something like Obsidian this time is because I am not planning to use the plugins. There are so many plugins in Obsidian, and I would like find myself spending more times customizing things like plugins, or even things like my themes, and trying to build the perfect system. And you could probably do some of the same stuff in VS Code, but I like I don't do that now because I mainly interact with it to write longer forms of text. That is mainly what I use it for. I have used AI agents to do a lot of the planning and setup and like maintenance of let's just call it a knowledge base, a project knowledge base. So I use AI to do that. I am also planning to like test out how I could use AnyType in a similar setup. Like there are many applications that I could use and have my files stored locally where I will be able to access them. And this idea of file over app is more important now. Let me try to explain what I mean with that. So lately we have found like there has been this experience of all of these new apps coming out, and most of them either stopping to work or turning into something totally different uh, before I am able to like review them basically. So I can see an application on X, it takes me a week or two to get to that review, but by the time I'm ready to review the application, like it is a different application. It has just turned into something totally different. So let me show you a couple of examples, and for those of you watching, a quick light mode warning. For those of you listening, I will explain everything. So let's go over some of these. This is Tool Finder. Here you can find a lot of cool productivity applications. It probably needs an update, but I think they're focusing more on other things right now. But let's take this one. It's called Any. I think that's the name. So this doesn't work at all. The website doesn't work. Can reload it, still doesn't work. Let's do another one. Let's actually do, there was another AI one here. AI Notebook, this is another one. It's now called HighNote. And I gave this a bad review once, but you can see that like it has some of the same stuff, but it has also turned into a different application. If we take Tana, which is an application I've talked about, like this is a new experience. They still have Tana Outliner, but they have like a whole new app there. Like apps are changing. Cortex is another one. Like this isn't. This is now Eden. Cortex isn't an app, or it is an app, but they've stopped developing it. They now have Eden instead. Like all of these apps, they change so fast. Lazy is another one that I'm not sure actually what happened to. I think they are still doing some of the same things where they're focusing on capturing stuff. This was actually a note-taking app I used for a while, a really interesting one. But there are a bunch of these where you're like, either you don't know what's happening or they're dead. Napkin is another one. I think Napkin is dead. There is like Squintle. I'm not sure what is happening here. The founders moved on. So but I think they are still developing the application, but you start to get the point here. Like a lot of these applications that have been around for a year or two has just turned into something totally different. Constella is another one, which is now, it is some of the same stuff, but it is also very different, and it now has agents. So apps change really fast. And why is that? Why is that really important for this idea of file over app? Because I will probably have to change productivity applications more often now than I did before, because AI has just, like, something has happened with AI, and when it comes to how we are treating content and building like applications, and like treating our applications and the way we think about them. So basically, before I would always say that you can't pick an application based on the promise of how it will look in a few months. Now, all of the applications just live based on promises a few months or years down the line. That is the standard now. So we have to change applications more often. Applications are dying more often, and I want to keep my notes. That is the first part of it. Like, I just want to keep my notes. I want to have my notes whenever, like, my note-taking app dies or my note-taking app turns into something I don't want anything to do with. Like, we have had a couple of shutdowns as well. I experienced this with SpaceDuck, which was one of my favorites, which shut down, and I suddenly lost a bunch of my notes. You can like get your notes out and move them into another application, but that isn't as easy as you would want, because most of these apps have their own kind of format, or they format things weirdly if you download it in Markdown. So I lost a few notes there. I was also a little lazy, like I didn't actually manually copy and paste everything. But Cosmic was another app that shut down, which was an application I used a lot last year. So brings me back to my point, like with Markdown based applications and Markdown as your file type, you are almost always safe, because there is almost or always something that can open it and like keep the structure of the notes. So currently, like VS Code with Foam or Obsidian or Logsec, like it keeps a lot of the stuff similar. I still have the same tables as I would have in in my like regular Markdown notes. So the notes in the files, the tables there, will look the same when I open them in Obsidian, when I open them in VS Code, when I open them in Logsec, I think. I haven't actually tested that. Even in, I tested out Zedler yesterday, opened it up in the same way. So no matter what app I use, I still get that same experience, same view. My notes do not actually change based on the application I use. So that is like one of the main reasons I think it's more important now. The other one is just that AI works much better with your Markdown notes. I have tried different file types. I have tried different ways of doing this. I prefer the Markdown method. I think that works best for me. It is also much easier because I can move them between AI applications as well. So I can use Codex, I can use Cloud Code, I can open up Anti-Gravity and use Gemini in there. And it does a lot of the same stuff because it is tool agnostic. Using Markdown notes is tool agnostic. And I think that is my point. That is, I've spent now almost 18 minutes trying to say this one thing. And that is that becoming tool agnostic, I think, is much more important. And I think Markdown makes it so that you are more tool agnostic. I could have just said that, and this could have been a tweet actually, when I think about it, but I wasn't able to like find the wording. I wasn't able to find the wording to like describe what I felt or thought. But my my point is that I think becoming more tool agnostic going forward will be more and more important, because I'm not sure if all of these AI applications will, or let me rephrase, I'm sure that not all of these AI applications will stay around. And not only that, I'm also sure that even some of the AI labs will disappear. And being able to like be tool agnostic, even if some of these amazing tools disappear, I think that is important, because they will disappear, because that's just the state of the world right now. We can't have 45 AI applications that do exactly the same thing. We just can't. And this was the same for the whole PKM productivity app space. A lot of applications grew a lot during the pandemic. The market got really saturated. We are now desaturating, and on top of that, we have a lot of AI applications that won't be around. So I think like having your files stored locally, being tool agnostic, being able to move around between tools will become more important, and is more important now than it was just a year or two ago. So that is currently what I'm playing around with. I wouldn't have the biggest issue if I lost these notes, because as I've said, like, a lot of the important stuff actually lives in notebooks. I have been and I am a little tired of all of the AI stuff, so that's why I've done notebooks. But I am playing around with this idea of like using Markdown notes and just using VS Code and some other Markdown tools. Like, I really like IA Writer for writing. So that will be something I will continue to play around with, and I will be back to talk about the idea of AI agents and whether or not PKM is dead and all we now do is context management instead of knowledge management. As usual, thank you so much for watching or listening to this podcast episode. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching or listening.